Excited to have with us for an insightful session leaders from the Congressional Black Caucus. Together, they will discuss the efforts for the black community, key information about the election cycle, their plans for the future, and how we can gain a deeper understanding of the Black Wealth legislative agenda. Please welcome to the stage our moderator, television journalist and author Don Lemon. And our panelists, members of the Congressional Black Caucus, Chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus and United States Representative for Nevada's 4th Congressional District, Congressman Steve Horsford. United States Representative for California's 43rd Congressional District, Congresswoman Maxine Waters. United States Representative for Ohio's 3rd Congressional District, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. And United States Representative for Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District, Congressman Troy Carter.
Have a seat, have a seat. Did you see the congressman from Louisiana that walked? I'm a Louisiana boy. I noticed that walk. We love it, we love it. We love to see it. We love to see you guys. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. Hello, Mr. Morial. I see you over there. Say hello to Mr. Morial, everyone. I'm going to let these folks do most of the talking, but you guys understand that we're at a very critical time right now, right? And what they have to say and their actions are going to be crucial over the next couple of months, as they have been over the last couple of years, last decades that they've been doing this, but mostly over the last couple of months. So can we please have your undivided attention, because we have some important things to say, and I'm sure they're going to tell you to spread the word to get everyone you know to vote. We're going to talk about wealth, fixing the wealth gap, but it's hard to do that, Congressman, Chairman, when someone has a foot on your neck. So considering what is going on in America right now, let's see. So this is 2022, and remember, 2022 was, these are the numbers from 2022, and they include the pandemic. So wealth rose a little bit during the pandemic because people were at home and they weren't spending as much money. So in 2022, let me get my glasses because I can't see. 2022, the median income for non-white households, this is like Hispanic, $62,000. For white households, $285,000. Asian households, $536,000. Black households, this is in 2022 from the pandemic data, 44,890, okay? It rose from 27,970. We are behind. There have been lots of efforts that you folks have been making, but in this critical juncture, how do we fix that?
Well, first, it's great to be here. Essence, it's great to have all of you. I'm Congressman Stephen Horsford from Las Vegas. I'm honored to serve as chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. Today, the CBC is comprised of the largest membership in our history, 60 members. When we started 52 years ago, there were 13. One black woman, Shirley Chisholm. Today, there are 31 of the 60 members who are black women of the Congressional Black Caucus. Collectively, the 60 members represent 120 million Americans. That's 1/3 of the US population. Some 20 million black Americans. Now, we are unapologetically pro-black within the Congressional Black Caucus because we understand when we uplift black America, we uplift all of America. And when we talk about the racial wealth gap that you just mentioned, Don, the fact that the average white household has a wealth of about $284,000 and black Americans have a wealth of about $44,000, that is because of systemic discrimination, racism, and policies since the founding of our country, including from Jim Crow and today with the mass incarceration of black people. And so we have to fundamentally change the laws in this country in order to build more equity. And the Congressional Black Caucus, working with Vice President Harris and the administration, have launched an economic opportunities tour to take these issues directly to the people, like places here in New Orleans. I want to thank Congressman Troy Carter, who is hosting us here today, here in New Orleans, and to center the people in the policy that we're advocating. To be clear, this is not about any one party, because we have no permanent friends, we have no permanent enemies, we have permanent interest. And as black people right now, our interest must be to achieve full economic participation, to grow black wealth, to end the systemic policies that have contributed to those inequities, and to take on the very forces who are trying to take away the tools of opportunity. It's the same forces who are trying to deny women the right to have the freedom to make their own health care decisions. It's the same people who filed the lawsuit against the Fearless Fund that you just heard about. They're the same people who filed the lawsuit to take away affirmative action so that students can't have equal opportunity to a college education. They are now suing to try to end diversity, equity, and inclusion, to try to dismantle access to capital, to defund agencies like the Minority Business Development Agency and others. But the Congressional Black Caucus is standing strong because we understand in this moment, not only do we have to hold the line against these attacks, but we have to cast a more bold vision for how we take our community forward. And I want to commend Chairwoman Maxine Waters, who has been fighting this fight all along as the chair of the Financial Services Committee. Under her leadership, she makes housing ownership a priority. Under her leadership, she's been taking on the big banks and big corporations. Under her leadership, she established the first ever Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee that was chaired by Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. Now, sadly, under this Republican majority, the first thing they did was eliminate that Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee to take away the opportunities to talk about home ownership. So yes, the consequences of this election matter, and we will hold everyone running for office accountable to the black community to build black wealth and build economic opportunity for our families.
Chairman, thank you. Come on, did you guys hear that? You heard that, right? That's what's on the line. The legendary Congresswoman, Maxine Waters. She knew when I said legend. You see how she perked up before I even got her name out? Congresswoman, you have been standing tall and standing up against bigotry and racism, right? And you have been holding people accountable. You have to hold the corporations in America accountable. How do we do that?
Thank you so very much for being here. And I want to thank the chair of the Black Caucus, Mr. Horsford, who you just heard from, for the work that we're all doing. You have to understand that we now have moved to the point where we have enough members in the Black Caucus to kick ass and call names.
We already knew, we knew, and we love it. Go on, ma'am.
And that's what we're doing. First of all, we got a lot of things that we have done that we've got to save. For example, I want you to know when I first came to Congress, I created OMWI, the Office of Minority and Women Inclusion. And that was my first attempt to deal with affirmative action, where we got all of the agencies that are dealing with finance in government to do something about moving people up in management positions, people who had been stuck in positions a long time ago that should have been moved upward. I want you to know that it was about contracting. It was about making sure that they got the information out to our communities about procurement opportunities, on and on and on. But I want you to know, after having served on the Financial Services Committee and becoming the first black woman in the history, the first black in the history of this country to chair the Financial Services Committee. I want you to know I created, as was said, the Diversity and Inclusion Subcommittee, which was chaired by Ms. Beatty. And that's where she was able to gather all kind of information and data about the major companies in America, who they were, what they were doing, so that we would have the information to go after them with. In addition to that, I want you to know we're saving much of what has been created over the years with the Congressional Black Caucus, even when their numbers were small. We have the small business, the State Small Business Credit Initiative. I and my committee put $10 billion in it for $100 million loans that could be made. I want you to know that during the crisis, when the banks had the opportunity to give the PPP money out that they were supposed to give out to all of the businesses, small businesses in particular, they created their own panels and they took care of their concierge clients, all of their rich clients, used up all the money. Nydia Velasquez and I and Nancy Pelosi, we went back to the Treasury and we created another $60 billion for PPP, and we put it out on the streets to our MDIs, and that's simply our minority banks, so that they would have the money to make the loans and our small businesses could get the loans. So we've got a lot to protect. But if we don't understand the difference between the two major candidates and what we've got to do, we're going to lose all of that.
Congresswoman,
Yes.
you went there. I want you to
Yes.
dig in on this, though, because
Yes.
there's this false narrative out there, people who believe that the PPP money and the checks came from the former president. But that came from a Democratic Congress.
Absolutely.
So just because the name
Yes.
was on the check
That's
does
right.
not mean it came from him. Go on,
That's
Congresswoman.
right. All right, okay. And so, not only did we take care of fixing what had gone wrong, because the big banks who always steal from you, who are predatory lenders, had taken advantage of the opportunity dispersed for us. And so we fixed it with the $60 billion. We've got to save what we have done, what we have created. But we're now at a point in time where people are talking about Biden is too old. Hell, I'm older than Biden. Well placed. Well placed. Well placed.
Come on now. You look good, Congresswoman.
And I get up every morning.
All right.
And I exercise.
All right.
And I work late hours.
All right.
I take care of black people.
All right.
Trump has told you who he is. He defined himself. He is a no good, deplorable, lying, despicable human being. And he's talking about if he doesn't win, there's going to be a bloodbath. There's going to be violence. There's going to be a civil war. Who the hell do you think he's coming after? Who's going to be targeted? Who is he talking about? But you know he means business because he is the one that led the invasion on the Capitol January 6th. He's the one that caused his people, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, the QAnons, the KKK, they were all out there under his leadership. They attacked us, all of us. They took the American flag with the pole and they beat our Capitol Guards with them. Now, do we have to talk about the difference between these two? Now, I want to tell you, no matter what anybody says, it ain't gonna be no other Democratic candidate. It's gonna be Biden, and we better know it. And guess what? Not only does he understand, he should have done better in the debates, but hell, he started to do better already. Did you see the latest interview? And he gets stronger and he's gonna do better every day. But we know, and these members are gonna tell you all of the things, you're gonna hear from Troy, all of the things that he's done, not only the HBCUs, not only for Medicare and making sure that all of us with diabetes had a cap on the cost of insulin, and going to tell you what he's done for the veterans and for the seniors. And he's also going to tell you Biden are going to be grabbing on women's private parts.
Okay. And then she handed the mic off with a mic drop. So listen, I'm going to tell you guys two things, okay? One is that we need this message, not only obviously for what the Congresswoman said, but for economic empowerment and what we're doing here at Essence, the largest black festival in the country, right? That happens right here in my home state of Louisiana and many of your hometown, New Orleans. It is streaming. You can check the Essence, check the catalog to see where it's streaming. It's also streaming on my network, The Don Lemon Show on YouTube. So call your friends, email, text them, tell them they can watch live right now as we're putting this out there, and it's going to stay and remain on the Don Lemon Show channel on YouTube, and also you can check the channel for Essence on YouTube as well. But as we were speaking, in Nashville, there were white nationalists marching today. Did you see that? There's a group of white nationalists. Do we really want to go there? So Congresswoman, thank you for your words, and thank you for your work, and thank you for talking about the importance of that. Congresswoman Beatty, both of the Congress people who spoke before you mentioned diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? So let's talk about the attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and why, if diversity, equity, inclusion was a person, the person would be saying, why are you so obsessed with me? So what do we do to protect diversity, equity, and inclusion, and to get other folks to stop being so obsessed with trying to tear it down?
Well, first of all, let me just say thank you, and it's a privilege to be here with my colleagues. Let me first say, when someone asks you, who or what does the Congressional Black Caucus do? I want you to remember what you just heard on this stage. We make a difference and we fight. And right now, as you heard from Arian Simone, they are attacking her because she wanted to help black women. They are attacking in corporate America, DE&I, and we have less than 1.4% of the managers there who are black. But let me just paint this story for you. Just listen to me for 1 second and think about black men and women during slavery. When the master would come, he would pick the strongest of the lot, so they know we're strong. But they would kill us if they found out we could read. Because if you put reading and intelligence with strength, we're better than the white folks and the MAGA Republicans out there. So that, in my opinion, is in part when you have someone like a Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who created in the Dodd Act, the Amway. She started with government first. And then when she became the first black woman to be chair of one of the 4 top committees in Congress, she had enough courage and power because she had subpoena rights, she had congressional privileges to bring in the top corporate CEOs. And she appointed me to be that chair, and we did not allow them to send a substitute. So every president and CEO of every major financial institution had to come before our committee. We moved the needle because we had power. And so what I am saying today, they are dismantling this because they want to take away our power. And that attack is not just on those people who are sitting in corporate jobs. That attack is on everybody in this audience. They've already tried to tell us what we could do as women with our bodies. They then went and attacked medical schools. Any medical school that says DE&I and has government funding, they're taking away their funding. We saw what happened with the Students for Fair Act against Harvard a year ago. More black women and men in corporate positions in higher ed lost their jobs because they were out there practicing DE&I. So the bottom line is, Don, they're hiring black folks. And when black folks get hired in large numbers, we bring other black folks. And then what happens? We get higher salaries. you already heard what the average is in comparison to whites and Asian Americans. But when we go to corporate America and we get on the top floor and then we hire other people in those jobs, but then we go out to the contractors. Maxine Waters taught us to make sure when you get a seat at the table, bring more. So black contractors, black business owners, that's how you create wealth, and that's why our chair of the Congressional Black Caucus is also going across the country. But we need you.
That's right.
We're going to put together policy and legislation, but we need you. We need you to vote, because when you vote, you elect folks that look like us. When you don't vote, we lose. We have members in the CBC that won their election by one vote. Sister in Florida, one vote determined that election. And if you don't know this, we got a black vice president of the United States of America, a sister who came here to be with us today. Now, so let's not get it twisted. Let's not get it twisted that we're going to go out, and I know who I am supporting. I know who I am voting for. I am going to continue with the Biden-Harris team, because we're going to have a sister to still be in the White House fighting for us and making a difference.
All right. Boom. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Is that Sister Lewis out there? Hey, boo.
Oh, hey!
How you doing?
That's my buddy right there. Y'all give her a big applause.
Jennifer Lewis is in the
Jennifer
house.
Lewis.
Hi, Jennifer. Everybody's mama.
Everybody's
Jennifer,
mama.
you doing okay?
They said she don't take no shit.
You're doing great. We know you had a fall, and we all love you, and we're praying for you. We love you, Jennifer Lewis. Okay, let me, two things. What are they up screen? Okay, I thought they saw someone. Okay, what'd you say? Give her a mic. You want a mic, sister? We'll give you a mic. I'm gonna let the congressman speak, and then we'll give you a mic. Let me say two things. Number one, you mentioned the Vice President of the United States.
Yes.
And the Vice President, this is Don Lemon speaking. The Vice President of the United States, she has to be buttoned up when you see her on television. But you know, when you meet her in person, she is the most real sister.
Yes.
Her personality, you may not see it on the television, right? Because she has to be a certain way. She is the most loving, personable woman that you ever want to meet. And her personality shines. Am I lying?
Absolutely.
She's a fantastic woman. So we love the Vice President. Thank you very much for that. And also, you were talking about DE&I and about discrimination. There is this narrative coming from the other side, and we know we're going to talk about Project 2025, right? Yes. There's this narrative coming from the other side that white men now are the most discriminated against in America. Congressman, would you like anyone on this stage want to discuss that?
I will tell you that's a joke. I've been a black man my whole life. I'm gonna be a black man my whole life. And we wake up every day fighting for our communities. And this narrative that somehow discrimination has shifted, this narrative that somehow white men or white women are attacked, how could you be serious in any way if you're looking at the numbers, if you're looking at the statistics, if you're looking at how our brothers and sisters have been discriminated against in lending institutions, in academic institutions, in housing institutions, in everyday life. And for you to try to flip that narrative and somehow say that slavery was a jobs program.
Right.
And that black folk benefited from slavery. If that doesn't wake everyone up to go to the polls, nothing will. We got to vote. We've got to be aware of this intentional attempt to dilute, to discourage, and to dismiss. And guess what? We won't be diluted, we won't be discouraged, and we damn sure won't be dismissed. So when we talk about business and opportunities and equity and inclusion, you heard from the best and the brightest our country has to offer. Institutional knowledge that you could never bottle. Institutional knowledge and wisdom. We talk about our vice president, and as Brother Lemon just said, she's personable. She's beautiful. But let me tell you what else she is. She's smart.
Amen.
There you go.
She's prepared. She's dynamic. She's a leader. She's been a district attorney. She's been an attorney general. She's been a senator, and probably one of the most consequential vice presidents that the history of our country will ever see. Don't let anybody play this okey-doke game about trying to get us to divide and conquer. As our dear sister, reclaiming my time, just said, don't be hoodwinked by the foolishness. We ain't going back. And when we talk down about small businesses, we've talked about the significance of economic parity. Here in Louisiana, at Southern University, y'all know Southern University? We have one of the only minority business development agencies embedded in Southern University that provides technical assistance right here in Louisiana to help small businesses with the practical experience, writing reports, having your finances, knowing how to bid on jobs, knowing how to get bonded, having that technical experience and expertise makes all the difference in the world. You know how that happened? Because it was done under the Biden-Harris administration. It is permanently embedded in the Department of Commerce, in United States of America. It is permanently embedded for the first time ever. What does that do? That's not talk. That's receipts. Receipts. That's action. Action taken. Demonstrating that it's not about what I'm going to do, but what we've done. That's real talk. And that's fighting for you to make sure when you want to start your small business that you have access to capital. You want to stay in business, you want to expand in business, you want to survive, you want to have the technical experience to be able to go after the big job. Why in the heck are we still competing for 25% of anything? Why not go for 100? That's what this does. That's what the Biden-Harris administration has done by having the Minority Business Development Agency permanently embedded in the U.S. Department of Commerce. And it started right here in Louisiana at Southern University.
Southern University, I grew up around the corner. I lived in Park Vista. I don't know if y'all know that. Y'all don't know where Park Vista is. You don't know what Southern University is. Y'all don't know about being on the yard. So, but listen, what you're saying is the importance in the immediate future to fix the wealth gap is to vote, to make sure the right people are in the right places, to make sure that we're, instead of competing for 25%, as you say, believing in abundance, Congresswoman. Is that right, Waters?
Absolutely. And I want to tell you, we are working already toward the future. We have legislation that we are putting together, getting prepared for making sure that we have the corner office to sign off on our bills. Housing is in my committee, the Financial Services Committee. We have every night 600,000 people on the street homeless all over this country. In my county alone, we've got 60,000 on the street at night. I have a $150 billion bill to get rid of homelessness, to build affordable housing, and to make sure this country, who certainly can't afford it, deal with the housing crisis. We're getting ready. We've got the bills that we're working on to make sure. Now, when you talk about closing this wealth gap, we are going after pension funds. For example, in the state of California, they have, about $463 billion. That's the people's money. That's the workers' money. In Texas, they have $300 billion. And I guess in New York, that's $268 billion. When I was in the California legislature, I created the Emerging Fund, brought in all of the blacks on Wall Street so that they could begin to be the consultants and do the investments of that money. That was lost when I left the California legislature. We're going back after that money. That money should be managed not only by whites, but by blacks in financial services. They should invest in our communities so that we can not only create the jobs, but have home ownership, create our businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, we can do all of this.
Yes.
If you don't vote, you don't understand your power.
There you
If
go.
you don't vote, you don't understand your influence. And don't tell me when you see me in the street, you got my back shit if you ain't voting.
That was Maxine Waters.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Maxine Waters Show. Mr. Chairman, I want to talk to you about, we have members of the Congressional Black Caucus, prominent members here, but there's also the Senate. You have to work with both chambers. And just a reminder, they want to make homelessness illegal right now,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That's what Clarence Thomas and the rest of them just voted.
Yes. So working with the Supreme, when you vote in November, you're deciding who the next Supreme Court justices are going to be because there are
There
a
it
few,
is.
That's
three,
right.
there are three that are up now,
Yes.
and if you know who gets into office, he's going to have the chance to appoint three more.
Yes,
It will be a fully conservative court.
that's right.
So-
And we're not going to vote for anybody or get anybody appointed by the president who will fly the flags upside down.
If y'all don't know the Alito, Mrs. Alito story, look it up. Okay, so working with the Senate, because you have the Congress, taking the fight to the Senate. How do you do that, and how do you pull the Senate along with your efforts?
Well, first I want to add to Chairwoman Waters' points around housing, because this is about how we create intergenerational wealth for all communities. And home ownership and living and having a part of the American dream and building equity is one of the biggest ways that we can build black wealth. Today in America,
Yes.
only 44% of black Americans own a home compared to 72% of white Americans. And that contributes to the disparity as well. And part of the policies that Chairwoman Waters is talking about is helping the single mom with 2 kids also have a plan to build wealth. We're not only talking about building wealth for the very wealthy, we're talking about building wealth for all Americans. And this is what President Biden and Vice President Harris focused on with Democrats in Congress by passing the child tax credit, which lifted 50% of children out of poverty. When Republicans took over, they not only didn't extend the benefit, they took it away. So the very children we lifted out of poverty, they put them back into poverty. So we do have a choice. Now we have a booth over here, the Congressional Black Caucus PAC and Rolling C. All of this information is available. So here in the hall and throughout Essence Festival, we're making sure that this information gets out to the people. Now, Don, you're asking about the Senate. There's a black woman, 2 black women running for the United States Senate. Lisa Blunt, Rochester in Delaware, and Angela also Brooks in Maryland. These 2 black women will increase the representation of black women in the Senate so that when we introduce on day 1 with Hakeem Jeffries as the first black Speaker of the House of Representatives, with the Democrats in the majority and the second Biden-Harris term, we have to have allies working with us in the Senate to advance this agenda, as well as to pass the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and protecting a woman's right to make her own health care decisions by codifying Roe into federal law. There are things we can do, and we have the power when we get out and vote.
Congresswoman, there is, a gentleman who is the majority leader in the Senate. Do you want to talk to us about?
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that gentleman, because it reminds me of what we're dealing with today. And Congresswoman Waters brought it up when she talked about our president didn't have a good day in the debate. We're not running from that, but we've all had a bad day. But one of the things that we're doing is we're sticking with him. But conversely, when Mitch McConnell froze up, froze up, nobody asked him to step down. Members and constituents didn't start telling him he was too old, and he was old. So what I'm saying to you is we have to learn how to embrace one another. Black folks need to embrace black folks. Don't get out there acting like those other folks and saying he's too old, because you're going to be old one day. don't get out there turning your back on this president. Let me give you one last thing that you can relate to, and that's money. All black people, whether you got 1 penny or 10 of them, we understand money. Under this president and vice president, the most money in the history of the Congress, $1.2 trillion in an infrastructure bill that included internet for little black children across this country. Now, let me just tell you, we were in a fight about it. Maxine Waters, Stephen Horsford, I was chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. And we did what the other folks, even Democrats, couldn't do. 8 black folks got in a room together. All of them was chairs. Stephen was vice chair of the Congressional Black Caucus. And that's because we have courage. And that's because we stuck together with Jim Clyburn and Maxine and Benny and Bobby Scott and the late EBJ, Eddie Bernice Johnson. And I came up with a plan because, you know, sisters will fight. And we'll fight for our families and our children. And so we put a plan together, and we marched out and called every media news outlet, and we called Nancy Pelosi, and we said, we got a deal, and we're going to go cut it. The rest is history. We cut it, and it was President Biden who put his signature on $1.2 trillion. That's the power of black folks when you stick together and when you vote. So if we freeze up a little bit, don't turn your back on us, because we coming back, just like President Biden is coming back.
And let me add to that list of receipts that Joyce just gave. $16 billion for HBCUs. The largest amount of money ever in the HBCU system, protecting education for African Americans. Loan forgiveness, debt forgiveness, so you can pay that, not pay that money, buy a home, start a business. The PACT Act, fighting for our veterans to make sure those that have been exposed to poison, toxin, burn pits would be made whole. Men and women that have gone overseas to protect our freedoms should never come back to America and be treated like second-class citizens. The Biden-Harris administration put their money where their mouth is when they put money in, and we passed the PACT Act. That's real. That's receipts. Environmental justice, putting more money in environmental justice, environmental regulation than has ever been done before in the history of our country, recognizing that our communities are the ones that suffer at the greatest level of having chemical plants and carcinogens situated in neighborhoods of black and brown. The Biden-Harris administration didn't talk about it. They did it. These are receipts. $1.2 trillion infrastructure. Real money, real action, fighting for you. And we'll continue doing just that.
Okay. Don't go anywhere, Congress people. Secret Service, don't get me. I'm just going to come right down here because you guys asked. I'm not as young as I used to be. Hi, Jennifer Lewis. Someone said, give her a mic, turn this way. Just a few words because we have a few minutes left.
And listen here. Now, y'all know I fell 10 feet in Africa. But the bitch is back. You see these legs moving? I couldn't walk for 9 months, but I'm back. And let me tell you why I'm back. Because I was supposed to come back better for you. We are going to win. We've got the will to win because there's more of us than there are them. Standing side by side, we'll win it. And we'll win it by a landslide. This election ain't no joke. We gotta take this bitch by the throat. So, repeat this. I will vote. Because I love my children.
Because I love my children.
Now, get your ass out and vote.
I love you. I love you.
I love all of y'all.
Love you, love you, love you. Jennifer Lewis, everybody.
Love you, Jennifer.
Mr. Chairman, you are the chairman, and Madam Chairman, this is your panel. Final words from you.
Well, look, we've covered a lot of things today. And yes, there have been historic legislative achievements. I want to underscore those achievements would not have happened without a Democratic Congress when we were in the majority, led by 60 members of the Congressional Black Caucus. We represent a third of the U.S. House and our Democratic caucus. Nothing happens without the Congressional Black Caucus having an influence. But this election is also about our future. And so we're focused on making sure with all of you, we build a black wealth and economic opportunity agenda on housing, on entrepreneurship, on supporting our young people with the skills that they need to compete for the 21st century economy, for a more fair and equitable tax policy that lifts up children and not big billionaires and big corporations, to make sure we take on environmental injustice by investing in climate action, and yes, by making sure that we save and reform and make our democracy what it is supposed to be by passing the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. But we can't do any of this without you, the people. All of this legislation is for the people, and with the Congressional Black Caucus, you will always have a seat at this table.
Are you good, Congresswoman? Madam Chairwoman?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Essence for convening us every year. Essence is very important to the black community. I served on the board of Essence for many years, and I can see what it has done in helping us to appreciate ourselves and to define our own beauty. And so I love Essence. I've been here every year, and I'll keep coming every year. Now I want to get a little personal. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri originally. My mother had 13 children. And I want you to know we were poor. We saw a lot of families suffer in St. Louis. We saw a lot of untimely and unnecessary deaths in St. Louis. Some of my best friends who didn't live too far from me, every member of the family died because they ended up with something that could have been cured at the time. But we did not have health care, et cetera, et cetera. I know and I understand what poverty is all about. I know and I understand racism. I know and I understand how we have been undermined, how we have been neglected, how we have struggled, the sacrifices that have been made by our forefathers and mothers, the civil rights movement and Black Lives Matter now, and all of that. I am not about to go to Congress looking for white people to give me some perks so that I can get a better office and I can go on a vacation and I can do all that. Hell no. I am there because I'm going to use my power and my influence to uplift my people. I'm going to use my power and my influence to do everything that I can to close this wealth gap. They have stolen from us. They have taken from us. We've not had the opportunities to gain wealth. And so we have influence now. Don't come to me, big banks in America, telling me to protect you. I'm out to get you. I am out to make sure you stop robbing our communities. Don't come to me, all of the big corporations of America who've had influence in the Congress for far too many years. I'm a sister from South Central LA, and you can't do that to me. And I want you to know that for the rest of my years, and me and Biden gonna live a long time, I want you to know that I'm going to use my influence working with my colleagues and the power of the Black Caucus to make sure that you have the kind of representation that you have not had historically. We're going to use it. We're going to use our influence. We're going to make sure that we don't fall victim to somebody who talks about taking back America. Where you want to take us back to? We ain't going. I want you to know we're moving forward. Don't you sit around worrying about it, talking about you can't decide who to vote for. You can't vote for somebody because they're too old. Don't do that. Understand what has already been done, what we're protecting. Understand that now you have some influence that has been organized in the Congress of the United States in the Black Caucus, and know and believe and have the confidence that they've tried to take from us to know that we're important, we're special, and we are going to win. Thank you very much.
Congresswoman, thank you. A big round of applause, everyone. That's our time. Round of applause for the Congresspeople. I want everyone to stand up for these Congresspeople who are trying to help us. And I want a pre-standing ovation for the Vice President of the United States who's about to come up, Kamala Harris. I want a pre-standing ovation, a pre-holler and applause for the Vice President who's about to come up, who took her time to be here. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you. Don't want to lose these.
Excellent. Excellent.